And welcome back to LEC Spring Split, where Special is ready to make his debut in the mid lane for XL Esports against Origen. Before we get into the teams and the matchup, let's hear from the new mid laner himself, as Law's standing by for a chat.
Thank you very much, guys, and thank you, Special, for joining me. And I mean, congratulations on joining the LEC. How did you react when the management told you you would be playing this week?
I was obviously very excited, and I was like already looking forward to this day. And I've been working hard like the past 2 years to get here, and now I hope that I can show on stage today what we're made of as a team and also as an individual.
And so far, you've been watching the league from afar. What do you think XL had issues on?
I think the issues we had was mostly consistency, because we have been struggling a lot in team already from the start in laning phase and going through the early minutes in the game. And I hope with me coming into the team we changed that. This week of scrims has been going pretty well, I think a lot better than before, so I'm very hopeful.
So you're talking about consistency. We know XL mentioned it on social media. What do you think you can bring to the team, in-game per se?
I think in-game I'm a pretty stable laner. Like, I won't lose a lot of trades, I won't lose a lot of CS, and most of the time it goes in my favor. So I think I can be like a pillar for the team, and I hope to be that. That's
interesting to know, especially when you'll be facing the Duck later. How do you expect it to go against him?
The last time I played against him was in scrims last split when I was with Misfits, and back then we had pretty good results, and I know how he plays. Whenever I face him in solo queue, I'm pretty confident that I will have a good shot at least in laning phase, and after that we will see just how it goes.
And knowing the opponent already is helpful. Thank you for joining me ahead of the game, and I wish you good luck on this one. And back to you guys at the studio.
Thank you very much, Law, and welcome to the LEC Special. A little bit of confidence, started off very soft-spoken, but built up. Now, of course, we're just minutes away from XL Esports taking on Origen. So as draft is just about ready, I want to turn to each of you and say, what are the win conditions for each specific team? Froskuren, I'm going to give you XL Esports. Talk me through how they win the game today against Origen.
Surprise, surprise, it's the same old song and dance, and it's all about Cajal. Now, what is concerning here is that a lot of the aggressive, carry-oriented junglers, the likes of the Xin Zhao, have started to disappear from this meta, especially as we move on to 9.3. And I'm curious if that's going to defang Cajal a little bit and have some hurdles, even though they are making adjustments in the mid lane.
And the next point, let's talk about Jeskla, 9.3, 80 carry itemization. How does this help or hurt him?
Well, one of the better games that we saw from Jeskla was him on the Sivir. It makes it that much more viable of a pick. I think you need a late game insurance policy, and I haven't seen Jeskla step up to be like a hard carry Han Sama, so it makes sense that this should band-aid maybe some of their lacking marksman potential.
Keeps it nice and simple for me. Look at jungle, look at marksman. Now let's turn to Origen. Ender, new to the stage, how do Origen take down XL?
Well, Trevor, Origen in the first 3 weeks had 13 solo deaths. Last week, they only had 3. It looked a lot better from them. So we need to see Origen keep those solo deaths way down like they did in the last week as they were on their rise. And the second thing is that you just want to get a counter pick for Nuke Duck. Look, this guy has just demolished rookie mids throughout his career. I want to see him in a winning matchup so he can just take it to Special on the Rift and show him who's boss.
Yeah, and that was the exact strategy that Origen picked when they decided to face Fnatic and Nemesis. Like, Special, welcome to the LEC. It's probably going to be an uphill climb because you are against the Duck.
What I really like is Special has said, I have played against Nuke Duck in scrims, I have experience, and he's quite confident. Let's see whether or not that confidence works on the Rift. Origen are coming off that massive 2-0 week from last week, and let's see if the success continues today against XL Esports.
Thank you very much, Quickshot. And I'm looking forward to this game, I have to admit. Origen versus XL, I think it's going to be a spicy one, especially since Origen won against Splice, Schalke, sorry, last week.
For me, expectations of this should actually be pretty one-sided towards OG, because you kind of look at how they played last week and they looked clean, very clean. They even got a very convincing win over Schalke. Now, sure, there are question marks like, was Schalke really playing at their best? That's very debatable.
Remember to buy a refillable potion at the start of the game.
That's also true, right? But at the same time, you can't take anything away from the fact that Origen got themselves an early lead. They played very well with their early lead, and they won a very convincing game. And XL, we've heard it a lot from the players. Inconsistency has been one of the big issues, and bringing in a rookie player in Special, going up against one of the veterans of the league in Nuke Duck. This guy has one of the most played games in the entirety of European history. like we heard it from the analyst, this guy loves to school on rookies. So we'll see what Origen does. I hope to see XL try and get themselves a counter pick, save Special's pick for last to make sure that he has a comfortable laning phase going up against Nukeduck.
But they're on the red side, so they can get that counter pick pretty easily. Karthus banned away from Origen on the blue, Yasuo from XL. And we have seen, you know, a couple of Karthus bans already today. Seems like he's still a very strong jungler. Wasn't touched in 9.3. And there's the Sylas ban as well, once again on the blue side.
Looks like teams recognizing that with an extra week of scrims, Sylas is becoming more and more relevant and scary, and they want to take it off the board. Fascinating that it is being banned on the blue side. To me, it means that things are higher in priority, but you can't afford to give him away alongside some of the other champions available. So still things left available. Lucian and Ezreal, two of the big picks, with Draven being banned out. Ooh, with the Lucian ban away, I wonder if XL are forced to ban the Cassio here, given that you kind of limited your options. Even after the nerfs, many pro players consider Cassio to still be very relevant in both bot and the mid lane as well. But Ezreal's still up. Urgot is another champion that's still up and available. Couple of still strong picks, Sejuani, depending on how strong you consider that as well. Lissandra is something we saw some high value on earlier in the day.
It's going to be the Jace ban as the final roundup there from XL, so that S-tier top laner removed from the pool. And straight away, Origen will go towards the Urgot.
No real surprise there. He was not touched on the previous patch, so they'll continue to prioritize him. I think Kennen is a great pick into him. We've seen it picked multiple times. Ryze is also a perfectly fine matchup and something that many teams will still consider. We have seen Expect bring out the Rumble a couple of times. I mean, it's probably a fine matchup, but I don't think you need to put high priority on it. Instead, with Ezreal still being the primary AD carry left open, no surprise that Jessica goes for it, but I feel like Origen had this plan in mind. So we'll see what they decide to go for to try and answer. Kalista is something that Patrick has been playing a lot of recently.
And a very strong AD carry in his hands as well. 12, 1, and 10 across his 2 games on that champion. I do like the Braum pick here from XL. Take it away from Mithy, because Braum, of course, very good into the Ezreal, can block his entire ultimate with just that unbreakable shield. And Origen have a little bit of time to think about what they're going for. It looks like it's going to be the Thresh for Mithy down towards the bottom lane and team it up with a Sivir.
So I know that Sivir is considered a pretty solid pick into Ezreal. She scales extremely well. She can spell shield a lot of his damage. However, going up against a Braum, I feel like that makes her ability to push that much harder because, as you already mentioned, his Unbreakable Will can block a lot of the things that she tries to output. So I'm a little bit surprised. I do think they'll lose a little bit of push pressure.
Ooh.
But immediately, wow.
First game on the LEC stage, playing into Nukeduck, and he picks up the LeBlanc. Yes, it is a final pick. It's a counter pick a possibility because you can ban away anything that's strong into it, but that is a very ballsy move there from Special.
Now, I wonder if they look to ban away the Malzahar as well. It's something that Nukeduck has already played this split, and it is a pretty solid pick into the LeBlanc, but you're then going very much towards scaling, and arguably you lose some of the damage on the side of Origen. Thinking about potential others, Syndra is a maybe going into the LeBlanc. She can play pretty well because she can interrupt the dash with her stun, and she does have decent burst to try and mitigate that.
Would you ever play something like Cassiopeia into the LeBlanc?
Potentially, yeah. Cassio's another one. She does fine because, I mean, if you watch Chovy play the LeBlanc into Cassio matchup, then maybe you'd say that it's LeBlanc favored, but typically Cassio should have an advantage in that matchup.
I think you could watch Chovy play a Thresh into Zoe matchup and somehow it would become Thresh favored. So there's the Ryze.
Actually, now that you mentioned Zoe, that's another champion that you've got to take into consideration as well. We already said it earlier in the last game. She's been rising a lot in popularity over in the LCK. So yeah, surprised we haven't seen more of it recently.
That is the Lee Sin pick in for Kadriel in the jungle. Gives himself a power pick. Early jungler. Haven't seen him on it yet. And something you mentioned in the first pick ban as a strong top laner, we actually saw banned out, is the Yorick. Always a possibility here for XL if they want to.
Very, very true, Yorick. Really strong split pusher. Can be pretty obnoxious in lane. I'll be honest, I've never seen an Urgot versus Yorick lane matchup, so I can't say I'm super familiar with how it plays out.
I've not seen it either, Vedius.
Okay,
we will learn together.
We will learn together. But I've got a couple ideas. In the event that it's picked, we'll talk about it then. Right now, it's the final pick. Counter pick for Nukeduck. What does he go for? We've already ran through a list of champions he could go for. What does he want to do? Does he want to be a carry? Does he just want to mitigate the LeBlanc?
Corki is an option, and we'll get locked in.
So we're going carry. All right, I quite like this. Now, with the reintroduction of Infinity Edge into the meta. Oh, you called it meta.
Oh.
The prediction god, the Yorick coming out into the Urgot. Looks like XL came in with a clear draft plan. Looks like they got pretty much everything that they wanted. With the Draven ban, they forced the Lucian ban, meaning they could prioritize the Ezreal. They knew Origen would go for a very early Urgot, and they already had the Yorick counter pick prepared. And then by going for an early LeBlanc, I would not say that Corki counters LeBlanc, but he mitigates her pressure that she provides in the laning phase. So I think the way in which XL have drafted is very much towards what they've planned. I think they're pretty happy with what they have gotten.
Yeah.
The question is, can they now execute it? Because one of their big issues is that during the laning phase, they often fall behind, and then when they try to make plays in the mid game, they're often at too much of a deficit. So your eyes turn towards Cajal to help the laners through what could be a rough laning phase, and on the Lee Sin champion, he has the ability to do it. The question is, will he be able to pull it off against the likes of Origen, who have been on the rise over the last 2 weeks, and they have a lot of safe laners. Corki, Sivir, very difficult laners to gank, and then Urgot, he's very obnoxious, but pretty low in mobility, so maybe you can set up some plays with the Yorick on the top side of it.
Yeah, put him in that little box of zombies, the Dark Possession that you get from the Yorick and the W. You can't really get out of that if you are the Urgot without using your flash, so I do expect, as you say, to see Cajal up towards that top side quite often. The question will be, how can Cold mitigate that in Lee Sin? It's the first time we've seen Cajal play Lee Sin this split, but he has had a propensity towards those more aggressive junglers.
Now, this is the first time that we're seeing Yorick in the LEC, but it has been played over in North America.
Yep.
It's also been played over in the LCK.
Yep.
I believe this is the first time that we're seeing it into, actually over in North America, I think they played it into the Urgot. So, really excited to talk about this matchup. We are going to be jumping onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen, Origen versus XL. So let's dive straight into it. Yorick, have you learned the ability names?
I've looked them up.
Ah, you cheater.
I know, I looked them up before the cast.
Okay.
So that's fine. I have looked them up again.
All right, look me in the eyes and tell me them.
Okay, what do you want? Passive?
Yeah, passive first.
Okay,
You're looking at the screen!
I don't know. They can't see that, Venius. Shepherd of Souls. The Q is the last rites, but then it also has a second proc called Awakening.
Ooh, good
W is Dark Procession. The E is the Morning Mist,
Yep.
and that's the one that sometimes makes things scream a little bit.
Yep.
And then the ult is the Eulogy of the Isles, which summons the Maiden of the Mist.
Nice, excellent. Right, I'll give you 4 points out of 10 because I saw you glance at the screen multiple times.
You 4 points out of 10, you say?
4.
Full points.
4.
That's very kind.
So the thing about Yorick is early laning phase, he's pretty weak.
Okay.
Because a lot of his damage comes from the ghouls that he spawns, and they scale with level, which means that the more levels that he has, the more items that he completes, the stronger his trading becomes. Now, he's a menace in the mid to late game, because not only does he have a heal on his Q, but typically you'll see a lot of Yoricks max the W second, the little, you just told me the name of it.
Dark Procession.
The Dark Procession, because it actually has 4 health bars at max rank, which makes it really difficult to get out of. And so, once you've gotten those two abilities together, once he's hit that level 13 point, he's really obnoxious, he's really difficult to trade with, and you're surprisingly quick, because when you land your E, you have a surprising amount of movement speed, and you have a lot of crowd control in your kit as well, so you can just stick to targets and chase them down and outduel them as well. So he's really built for skirmishing and fighting and trading, and I think that's one of the cool things about him into the Urgot matchup, who just likes to harass you and bully you and force you out of lane.
I'm actually really interested to see the Purge interaction with that Dark Procession as well. When Alfari pops that W, will it just clear out the walls incredibly quickly because it's auto-attack based?
Yeah.
We will watch for that because that could be a way that Alfari can counterplay this matchup. We've talked a little bit about the top lane as we started off, and you mentioned mid lane in terms of the Corki being relatively safe into the Blanc as well. Bottom lane, I think it's going to be pretty much a farm fest early on. I don't really expect to see too much action down there.
Well, Jessica and Kasink have already gotten the early level 2, and the thing is that we talked about early levels. I think, if my prediction is correct, yes, Kasing has actually gone for his shield, his E, second, which again mitigates a lot of the pushing power of Patrick. And so as you can see, the wave clear is not as strong on the Civic.
Just way overextended though. The Ignite comes out. It doesn't matter about the wave clip. You can just farm champions. Mythic gets first blood, and Origin on the board.
So he just completely ruined my point, as he ends up dying in the 2 versus 2. He tries to mitigate the wave clear from Sivir, and he then loses it once the hook ends up landing onto him, so he then doesn't have that damage reduction. And Patrick and Mithy find themselves a 2v2 kill, so kind of classic XL fashion, falling behind in the laning phase.
Yeah, especially that bottom lane. But Jesco does have the Kleptomancy, so he'll be able to farm up a little bit of gold even without Kasing being there. Kadril's path towards this bottom side. Let's have another look at this, because honestly, this is just Kasing totally misplaying.
Yeah, the thing that surprises me is he wouldn't run behind his own minions, because then they can body block the.
And he had
the
flash.
for him. He also had flash.
When you see that hook coming in, you should be flashing away.
And his E literally just ran out.
Yep.
And so Sivir got the max damage on her Q. So, yep, big misplay. Big oopsie means 800 gold lead right now, or 1,000 gold lead rather for Origin. So yeah, great stuff.
Sizable sum. Top lane looks to be like Expect just has a little bit of a push priority in this lane. Puts down those Graves and then the Ghouls come out after 3 of them, assuming you use your empowered Q. Nukeduck trading in with Special here. Very brave of Special, I have to say, to pick the LeBlanc into Nukeduck when Nukeduck has so much more experience than Special does on the LEC stage.
Yes. The thing about LeBlanc, though, is you can see that XL have drafted very much a 1-3-1 comp with the split pusher and the Yorick and the ability for LeBlanc to move off to a side lane. This lane gets really hard when Nukeduck goes for a Hex Drinker. If the lane is going fine and he doesn't feel that Special is playing aggressively enough, he might just forego it and instead prioritize the Trinity Force and then translate that into an Infinity Edge. However, if he respects the amount of aggression that Special is outputting, then he will go for an early Hex Drinker, and at that point, Special pretty much loses all burst that he'll have available to him. And we do see both junglers entering the mid lane. Cole just showing up to assist.
Oh, Patrick has to use the heal in the bottom lane as well as Jesco went aggressive.
Mithy actually went up for a roam towards the mid lane, maybe punish Special a little bit. And there were 2 wards from the side of XL behind the Dragon Pit that Cold is walking over right now. So XL were able to spot that one out and force a summon spell out from Patrick. So good stuff there from the side of XL.
Definitely, as Kadril actually looks to be ganking the top lane here as Alphari maybe a little bit too far pushed forward. Kadril jumps in, and Alphari uses the disdain to get away the E on the Urgot there. So no real action for XL in the early portion of the game. Maybe expected Kadril to have a little bit more impact on the map. It seems to be cold.
It's alright, we're 5 minutes in, mate.
I want more action, Vedius.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, not everyone double teleports into a bot lane at like level 2. But yeah, I think things are going fine for XL. The fact that their 2v2 died in the bot lane is obviously not great, but that was then somewhat mitigated by the fact that Patrick was left alone in a 1v2 and Jessica could actually build up a bit of a CS advantage. He's now going to come back with the Sheen. He also has teleport, so he can just TP back to the
6 here though. Expect puts him in the box. And the boxer will be clear.
Oh, so there you go. His W doesn't just proc.
But was his W still active when he was in there?
I think so.
Oh yeah?
So that's what I think, yeah.
Well then that's cool. That's a good way for Expect to keep Alphari under wraps.
I mean, you'd also think that they would have noticed that as pro players and been like, this matchup probably isn't that good.
Maybe.
He could just clear out my W almost immediately. The other cool thing to know about Yorick is he has kind of had a number of buffs. One of the big buffs that he's had is his R is now pretty much permanent, which is really annoying to deal with, because you can just kind of let her free and she'll just run off onto a side lane and she'll keep pushing until she dies. So something I'm sure many solo queues have experienced, probably in recent history.
Yep.
But yeah, she just sticks around in lane and her trading is really strong and obnoxious.
And you can actually choose whether she stays near you or whether she just walks down the lane now as well.
Yes, exactly that.
So, I want to just talk a little bit more about the new mid laner for XL. Special, this player that's been around the Challenger scene for quite a while, has played Misfits Academy last year, was a sub for the Misfits squad, played on one of my favorite teams ever called Burger Flippers. He's from the Netherlands, and I actually believe that his family are here in the audience today to watch the debut of their son in the LEC. They're filming it.
Very, very cool.
You can get the VOD later if you want, sir. It's on twitch.tv/Riot Games.
So, yes, a very special day for Special. Haha, I see what I did there. And
great stuff, Eddie.
Thanks,
great
mate.
stuff.
And so far in lane, he's doing fine. But as we can see, the respect being shown from Nukeduck, the Hex Drinker coming in very, very early, means that now Special will lose a lot of kill pressure in this mid lane. If Kadril comes, they still have the ability to shut down Nukeduck, but I kind of want to see Special roaming. They have vision set up in the topside river, so if anywhere, topside would be a good place for him to try and roam.
So then where are the points in power that XL might be waiting for this LeBlanc? Like, are they waiting for her to get her first completed item, or can she just start roaming straight away?
Luden's Echo is the usual go-to. Look at that damage coming out from the Yorick.
It's a very angry maiden.
Luden's Echo is normally the go-to point for most LeBlanc players. I feel that once she has that item, she needs to be doing something. And it's not like she falls off. She's quite fortunate that there aren't that many tanks on the side of Origen, but there are a lot of ways to interrupt her, which is something that she will have to be careful of with things like the Thresh Hook and the Flay and the Gragas E and the Spell Shield and the Corki W. Yeah, this isn't a fun game for LeBlanc. There's definitely a lot of things that are just very obnoxious for her to try and get her usual playstyle on.
Really good secure there from Kadro, though. No vision from the side of Origen, so Kadro able to sneak away that Infernal Dragon. And we're looking for these first points of power, these first item pickups maybe for XL before they can really start doing some more on this game, because they're about 500 gold behind, but I don't think they'll be too upset with the state of affairs.
Yep, not the end of the world. Origen do have very good scaling. Corki and Sivir used to be a big, powerful duo. Corki and Ezreal was an old duo as well, the double Trinity Force duo. But basically, once Corki has Infinity Edge and Rapid Fire Cannon, and same thing for...
and Trinity Force as well?
Ah, yeah, sorry. I just assumed Trinity Force is a staple. Yep. My apologies. You go Trinity Force into Infinity Edge, into the Rapid Fire Cannon, and then Corki hits like a truck. Remember, he also does 80%, I think, of his damage is magic damage, or gets converted to magic damage, rather, meaning that he's really, really annoying to itemize against.
Super tough, especially when you have something like a Sivir on the team as well, who just has so much arm, like she just does so much AD, so much physical damage. So really, Origen waiting for the 3 items. XL, you're looking maybe for a little bit of roaming from special at 1 item. Jeskler will be going to 2, 3 items on the Ezreal as well. He's still just as powerful as he was on previous patches.
Ooh, look, Medic, look, trading, top lane. Sorry, I get really excited about top lane.
I mean, it's
trading, jungle!
Oh, jungle trading, Mithy flashes in, that's the play as well. Kadro looking for the jump across the wall, the hook comes out, Kadro ignited, the barrel to the back. And that is an easy enough kill for Origen.
Man, I feel like people have just forgotten what Sivir Ultimate does.
It's the super go-fast special. Looking for the solo kill on Nuked Up, but the Hex Drink his shield will keep him alive.
Alright, so keep your eyes on the Flash, QW, Ignite. That's enough to kill.
I'm keeping my eyes on it, Vedius. Splash, QW, Ignite! It's not quite enough to kill, but here comes Cold, flashes in, and Cold will belly bump his way to second kill of the game.
The fact that I read it meant that Nuke Duck read it way before I did, and he was just sitting there waiting for it. He said, Cold, you need to come mid lane. Special's gonna try and kill me. I'll bait it out. And the Flash W comes in from Special, and he ends up getting punished for it. He's gonna lose this whole wave, and yeah, very, very good read there from the side of Nuke Duck.
Unsurprising, considering he's played 284 games, 255 games, sorry, on the LEC stage.
He's also just played a ridiculous amount of LeBlanc, and because I was looking at it from Special's point of view, and I was like, I have enough damage to kill this Corki. Yeah. I just need to wait for my W to come up. I think we're going to start with the replay. Yes, okay, here we are. So this is just the Sivir ultimate combined with the flash from Mithy. Really good opportunity for them to find that pick. And then Special gets a really good trade here. I like this a lot. Nuke Duck shows patience, and notice how he turns back onto Special and trades, knowing that he can actually trade back, given that he has the Hex Drinker shield. At this point, he's like, okay, my shield is gone. This guy's going to try and kill me. Oh no, I can't kill him.
No. We've seen that face many times before. Alpha getting dived in the top lane. Lots of damage coming out from Expect and Kadro. There will be the kill. Expect tanking up the tower. Cold coming in. Unable to quite connect, and the barrel will just catch the end of Expect. So maybe Cold can do a little bit more here because Mithy's on his way. Expect no flash. He's going to be left for the Wolves. Tries to trade back onto Cold, but the last rights is not enough to heal him up. And Cold gets his 3rd kill of the game. First kill for XL, though. They are finally on the board.
Yeah, XL getting punished across the board right now. Good dive, though, from XL. You can see how tanky the Yorick actually was when setting up that tower dive, and they were able to blow up Alpha relatively quickly. But again, Origen read the play, and they end up punishing. So every time XL try to force something, Origen very quick to react.
And we've seen Origen over the first few weeks of the split actually really struggle not dying in the early game. In the first weeks 1 to 3, they had 84 total deaths across the course of the entirety of their games. And we're going to talk about that afterwards because we have another replay up towards this top lane.
Yeah, so we can see here's the dive coming out from the duo of Expect and Kadril. The flash very quickly comes out from Expect. He uses the slow to try and create a gap between him and Cold. Unfortunately for him, Cold has the Predator. Mithy's also roamed up with him, which means that he can't really get out of this situation. Mithy realizes, okay, that's a free kill. Let's see if I can land a hook on a Kadril. Just barely misses it, though.
That he does. Now, we can talk about death later, because I want to talk a little bit more about this Essence Reaver Sivir. Patrick's got it in the bottom lane. Last game, we saw Reckless and Hylissang really pushing in that lane a lot more. You know, they got a lot more damage onto the turret. They were looking at taking the tower down by this point. that seems to be the objective for Origen, but they seem to be struggling to do it as quickly as Fnatic do.
Yeah, but I still think it's just a good item, right? Because Civ is very mana intensive. She gets crit, and she gets what do you call it? The other one? Crit. She has crit damage and she gets crit rate from the item. Ooh, hang on.
Fight in the bottom lane. Smithy gets caught up with the concussive blows. True Shot Brush will go through him. Mithy goes golden, but he's not going to be getting any medals for that play. He's down. XL get their second kill of the game.
Well, Kadrill's still being pretty active on the map right now. He's found a kill top, and he's been able to find a kill bot too. So this is good for XL, but right now they're being pushed under the towers, and they are struggling a little bit in terms of the gold department. But overall, I think the item is good. What I really like about it is it means you can go Essence Reaver into crits item like the Rapid Fire, and then you can go with an Infinity Edge, because you don't need more wave clip and things like the Static Shiv. You don't need more attack speed. It's not as valuable to you. So just instead get more damage, get more autos.
You've got a slew of wave clear on the side of Origen with the Corki and with the Sivir. A little bit struggling maybe on the side of XL though. You know, Ezreal not the best at wave clearing. LeBlanc has to jump in, so she's sacrificing some of her damage.
Oh, I mean, like, XL have no wave clear. So it's really bad. But again, their whole game plan was to get ahead in terms of the lanes. They have LeBlanc and they have Yorick. Very strong laners.
Kadrill's still down here. Will be spotted on a ward. Cold and Mithy turn away straight away. Kasing coming in from the side as well, but the hook onto Kadrill. Knocked back. That's an easy enough kill. And now Expect teleported in. Might be in a very tough position because Alfari's on that front line. Expect trying to run away, but Patrick just continuing to put the boomerangs in the back. Gets the beer beyond death. They chase him away. Riptide will go down as well, but soon this tower shortly to follow. You have to feel just actually jumping forward there. Hook not quite connecting for Mithy, and eventually Origen will be able to push in for the first tower of the game.
And once again, another great punish from the side of Origen. XL tried to set up a play, but Origen were already ahead of the curve. They had the Rift Herald already set up to siege onto the tower. Jesper and Kasing got zoned away by the teleport from Alfari, and Expect TP'd in way too late, meaning the jungler was already dead, and he came in at a numbers disadvantage. So XL, they just continue to fall further and further behind. Their two solo laners aren't getting the leads that they really need to threaten on a side lane, and that means the Origen, they're going to continue to scale, work towards those core items that they need. And now Nuktuk, seeing Special jumps in, wants to try and get a bit of a punish down.
And you have to feel that this game is very much in Origen's hands now. XL unable to make the early plays perhaps they wanted to through the Lee Sin. This Yorick not doing as much as they wanted it to in the top lane, and Origen with pushes like this have just started to open up the map.
So you can see here Jesper and Kasing are really stuck, and I love the decision making from Origen to just immediately turn onto Kadril. They go onto one side of the flank and they hard commit, and they actually end up finding a kill. And with the teleport coming in from Alfari, it means that again XL are further split up. And it's just overall a really good response from Origen. Very patient, exactly what they needed to do, and it guarantees them another tower.
And now in the top lane, Cold here. Once again, Cold is unstoppable. That Gragas is doing absolute work. 4,000, well, 3,500 gold lead now for Origen. They've started to get towards that Trinity Force power that we talked about, the first item. Already first item on Alfari as well. Kadril misses the kick, but goes in. Alfari with a stain away. Special here with the chase gets one, but Kadril's going to follow shortly after, and Origen can just push in for this second tower. True Shot Barrage actually coming all the way from that bottom lane. Don't think it's going to do too much. Doesn't even hit any of the minions.
And every time XL tried to do anything, OG are very quick to respond. Teleport comes in from Nuktuk to find himself a kill. Cold setting up the dive with Alfari means that they secure themselves their 8th kill or 7th kill of the game, translating it then into the 8th kill. And now they're setting their eyes on the next tower of the game. Kasing going to try and interrupt this though.
Yeah, Nuktuk's so safe on the Corki. Like we talked about it a little bit in Picks and Bans, how safe the Origen lineup is. It's so difficult unless you start snowballing against them really to catch any of them out. There is a bit of scaling on the side of XL, you know, Ezreal's still very strong in the late game. LeBlanc can still nuke people if she catches them out, but you have to feel that Origen are going to keep just upping the tempo piece by piece and start to clear out a lot of these towers.
It's one of those things though where, in theory, yes, that's great. Especially when Origen play around something like a Baron. You have Ezreal poke and you have LeBlanc poke, and the enemy team can't really do any objective, but Origen have so much wave clear and they have really good scaling of their own that they can just keep these waves pushed in all the time. So it's really difficult for XL's comp to get into a situation where they can actually leverage this poke. So they're in a bit of a dire situation right now. They need Origen to really make a big mistake if they want to stand a chance of coming back into the game.
Is that all they're waiting for? Is that their only opportunity back into this game?
A little, yeah.
Okay.
Because the thing is, XL have drafted themselves a 1-3-1 comp. They ideally wanted to send Expect off onto a side lane, but Origen now have such a big gold lead that it's way easier for them. Let's say they group up as 4, right? And you have Alfari sitting off the side lane trying to hold expect off. They can just be like, well, it's way easier for us to force things as a 4 than it is for you to force something as a 1.
Oh, maybe. Cold pops the Salt Watch. There's the Glacial Fissure as well. Special in with a chase. Double distortion. They get him. That's what you need. Make the picks, but Alfari now has the flank position. Jessica has to flash away. You can see Special still with the chains. Alfari going low. Hooked in for mid. He doesn't quite connect. Special tried to get onto Alfari on the backline, but now he is very, very low, just forced away. Also, Jessica falling off towards the top side of that fight.
So you can see, even though XL find themselves a pick, when the fight actually started, OG then just turned it around and melted through XL, and it'll be another objective going in favor of Origen. And while XL, if they're able to find more of these picks and they can catch out more members of Origen, it's a way for them to come back into the game. Right now, they're just in such a big deficit, it's difficult to translate it into anything. So this is good from XL. They recognize that they have a control ward in the brush. OG doesn't really have proper pressure, and Cold dies very quickly. The big thing here is that Alfari is able to join the fight much before the Yorick is, so it doesn't really end up being a numbers advantage in favor of XL. A good flash there from Alfari to dodge out from the kill as well, and they can just continue to chase down, keep this in a 4v4, and then they're able to just win out.
I want to give a little bit of credit, of course, to Special, who is trying to make these picks, who's actually playing relatively well for his first game on the LEC stage, but across the other side, you've got 3 or 4 players who are playing very well for Origen, and they can just set up for the next objective. Clouddrake up in 18 seconds, Baron up as well. Need to see how the vision control is up towards that Baron, because at the moment it looks like it's mostly in favor of XL. Some deep wards perhaps for Origen, and they'll want to rectify that situation before they do anything more.
I think Origen's going to look to play around Dragon right now. They've invested 2 control wards into the river. They're pushing out bot. They have the package as well. They're just getting priority in mid, and then they'll move back down towards that objective. And they're just going to use the package to get out of that dire situation.
Oh, it's so dire. I'm sure for at least half a millisecond he was like, oh no, not a Yorick. What will I do?
I mean, Yorick with Training Force is scary, dude. I told you, that item. You doubt me, right? However, I was playing 3v3 with Ender last night.
Okay, yes, so let's use your 3v3 experience as
but hang on.
end all
We were stomping this Yorick, right?
Okay.
We were destroying him. And he was playing, Ender was playing Rek'Sai, I was playing Nocturne, and both of us could 1v1, 1v2 their Nocturne, their Yorick and the Volibear.
Okay.
And he got his Trinity Force, and we couldn't 1v1 him anymore. He was level 12, he kept killing us. We lost that game because of Yorick. So I apologize for being afraid of this champion, because we should have won that game, Medic, and I entirely blame Ender. He should have stopped trying to 1v1 the Yorick. I said, let's work together. He goes, no, my pride will not let me.
That sounds a lot like Ender, actually. Yeah, it's very, very much
My favorite line is, you know, we've already talked about how Rek'Sai is getting buffs next patch. There was one of these things where he tried to do this thing on Rek'Sai, and then it doesn't work, and then he goes, oh no, that doesn't come out this patch. And just out of the blue, he was like, oh no, that's not till next patch. So yeah, that was funny. But yeah, I entirely blame him. Rek'Sai's really bad champion.
Okay, so if Origen start one at a time feeding into this Yorick, then we know that XL will be able to win the game.
That's the scary point.
That's the moment in which XL stand a chance. But at the moment, Origen, coming off a win against Schalke last week, looking just as strong as they did against their former opponents. And with a 4,000 gold lead, finally cleared out those outer towers, have a tier 2 down in that bottom lane, and a very strong spot. They got the Clouddrake. I now feel like Baron is probably their next point, but they have quite a lot of wave clear and can just push in without it if they so desire.
So the thing about Baron is it just helps you break into the base, which is always a difficult thing to do. For Origen, the actual best case scenario for them is more about setting up vision in the river and then trying to find a pick and then translate that into a Baron. But the cool thing about their composition is they have so much wave clear, and because of the Corki, they have a decent amount of mobility. It means it's really easy for them to keep these waves pushed and just keep dancing back and forth. So I think Origen's comp is really good. I love the fact that Corki's back in the meta. I don't know if other people are, but I really like this champion.
I really dislike Corki. Just in terms of playstyle, because you never really get any action mid, and you just like wave clear for days.
I mean, that's true.
And eventually he just sits there and pokes rockets at you from long range.
But I really like what he can do in the mid game. Like his package
I'm playing
is really
Rakan,
cool.
you hit me with one rocket and I'm dead. Excellent, great fun.
Ooh, he's actually picked up a Zeal fourth. I thought he'd go straight for the Infinity Edge there. Maybe he wants to get a rapid fire cannon before with just the BF sword.
Yeah,
We'll see.
It gives them that extra range to poke people.
See, this is really good awareness. Ladies and gentlemen, take a quick look at your minimap. What you'll notice is that Nukeduck did not push past the river. Why? Because his team doesn't have control over the river. The vision is entirely littered in XL's favor. So he's waited for mid to push, and then he's moved into the river with his jungler, and now he finds a kill. And so this, really good League of Legends there. Love that.
Fight starting in the mid lane as well as Alfavi jumps into the midst of Sing expecting Cadril. Jeskler, sorry. Flash in from Patrick, going very aggressive. The hook lands onto expect. Pulling back, there's the ignite as well. Patrick can put the boomerang down, and Cold, his 7th kill of the game on AP Gragas.
A lot of kill secures from Cold, I feel, this game.
No, he's doing it all himself. Better jungler wins, Vedius.
He's been using that ultimate to secure a lot of hits. Mithy not going to follow up on the hook.
Oh, just enough damage from Specialist to take down a Mithy, though.
So that will be another objective going in the pockets of Origin, and again, I just really like the series of plays. The problem for Kadros is he was in the river when it wasn't his turn, Medic. He didn't have pressure in mid, the rest of his team couldn't support him, and it was Origin's opportunity to move into the river, and he ends up getting punished for it. It happened earlier on in this game, it happens once again, and Origin very quick to capitalize, used the Sivir ult to find themselves some kills in mid lane as well. So 5,000 is the gold lead now for Origin. They'll likely, after resetting, look to set up objectives, set up vision rather, in the river to start playing around this Baron once again.
Makes a lot of sense. You've got 2 items, Sivir almost up towards 3. You've got Rapid Fire Cannon finished on your Corki as well, up towards that Infinity Edge. And Cold now with the Zhonyas for himself. This is the traditional Gragas build we see now, but it has a huge amount of burst if you can connect onto a squishy target.
Yeah, it's really annoying. Mickey tells me all the time about how strong Gragas mid is, and I just refuse to believe him.
Yeah, but you play Nocturne mid, Vedius.
Yeah, but that's broken. I'm Diamond. What elo are you? Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway, so here's the pick. Kadril and Special, or Special trying to help Kadril out, and there's the damage from that AP Gragas, able to lock him down very quickly. And the main problem for them was that not only are they behind in goal, but the rest of XL couldn't help support. And when they tried to move towards helping, the rest of OG immediately engage. And while it takes them a little while to actually find those kills, it still ends up going heavily in the favor of Origin, and they end up converting it into a town.
So we managed to get a couple of kills off the back of it. So we saw at the end here, Mithy does go down. It's good stuff from Special to find the pick, and there is poke potential from XL. There's a lot of squishy targets on Origin. If Jeskler and Special can land in some of this poke, pick off one person before the fight starts.
I don't think Mithy actually got the heal there, poor guy. But you're right. If XL can find those picks, then maybe they stand a chance.
Maybe.
Things look dire right now, Medic.
It is only 5,000. I mean, that is...
Only? That ain't only, mate.
It's a sizable sum.
I mean, the important thing is to look at the actual item difference. And you can see that Origin's mid laner has effectively an entire item over Special, and the AD carry has 3 items versus... Well, technically it's 3, but because it's not a fully stacked Tier of the Goddess, Seraphs, then Jessica's not really at 3 items. So
it's on his way.
He's on his way,
and Ezreal scales so well. Even on 9.3, hasn't changed at all. Yeah, I think some of that gold difference, though, will be sitting on Cold in the jungle. He's actually got about 2,000 of it because he's sitting on those 7 kills, 9,300 to about 7.5. And there's about 2,000 in the mid lane as well, between Nukeduck and Special. Does this Corki take over the game just as much as old Corki used to do? Because it used to be you get to 3 items, there's basically nothing you can do against him.
Well, I mean, you can do things against, which is really, really hard. No, because he's like, this is actually something I haven't mentioned yet, but the fact that he has teleport and has package means he's actually pretty strong in the side lane as well. And one of the reasons why he's good into LeBlanc is he can somewhat match her in the side lane.
What's going on here, Vedius? Origin just pushing in the top lane, and XL like, okay, we'll take 1 mid lane tower. We're gonna lose your inhibitor turret here, XL. Origin take it. They're pushing for the inhib as well, and still, Yorick Mori pushes in the mid lane by himself. That's the inhibitor down. Origin just see their moment to strike and take down Inhib in the top lane.
Yeah, but here comes the split push Yorick.
Oh yeah, that made in the mist doing so much work. I do want to give a shout out to our graphics and statistics team. We have inhibitor timers in the bottom left corner now, in case you haven't seen them.
Nice.
They're very cool little things.
Yeah, they are super cool. Now, Baron, what happens? Origin, not going to bother with it right now. They have no control what's in their inventory. A lot of sweepers are on cooldown, so they're going to reset. Cole didn't realize he was standing on top of a ward, so his back gets interrupted. And now with Origin securing themselves the top inhibitor, it's one of those, I heard LS say it, of the inhibitors to lose, it's probably the best one because it's the closest one to Baron, and it's like looking at the bright side of a
100%.
bad situation. Do you know what I mean? So
It's like if you lose both your hands, of the hands to lose, you want to lose your non-dominant one. So I'm right-handed. Of my hands to lose, the left one. It's the better one.
exactly, you get the idea. Now, XL have actually decided, let's just commit to the Baron. Urgot is bot. He does have teleport.
Is going to teleport in.
Yeah, he is.
8,000 HP
There's
on
the
this
Sivir
Baron.
ult.
XL still on it. There's the on the hunt. Nuke Duck trying to get some damage in from the side, but the Unbreakable will stop him for the moment. There's the hook. Mithy pulls back, expect already. Nuke Duck got a killing speed and knocked back, pulled into the fear beyond death. And this is a slaughter, a bloodbath in the Baron pit. Only Yesler survives. He's forced away up towards the top side of this. Don't think he's going to be able to do too much as Mithy chases him away. And Origen will take the Baron straight out of XL's hands.
Yeah, and just the...
Oh!
He dies, cold, he shoots, he scores, he finds another kill, he pans his kitty out even more. And XL, they realized that the game was falling out of control. They were only going to get outscaled. They needed to make a play right then and there, and so they did it. But LG, they have their eyes set on ending the game. They have the Baron buff, they have 3 members. This looks like it's going to be it.
Yeah, Nexus Towers in their eyes. It's a pretty clean, methodical play here from Origen, and they should take the win against XL. Played perfectly to their composition, and Origen will take their 5th win of the season, going into the halfway mark with a winning record.
Origen, definitely on the upswing. Upswing?
I do love a good upswing.
5-4, as you mentioned, this is great for Origen. Many question marks were surrounding the team over their first half of the split. Struggling against a lot of the top end, but something that Fisher was adamant about. We had a really tough schedule, you know, and as the split progresses, we'll get better. And I mean, he was right. 5-4, sitting in the middle of the pack right now. I think they're tied with Splice. So definitely a good scoreline to be sitting at. And it just makes that middle of the pack more interesting, because now we have teams like Fnatic, like Origen, looking to contest those spots, try and fight for those playoff opportunities that'll be coming as we progress throughout the split. Split? What is wrong with my words?
Did you love a good swing and a spit?
But yeah, great game overall from Origen. I like their draft, and to me it just felt like that they recognized every play that XL was trying to make, and they responded perfectly every single time.
Yeah, and a lot of it was on the back of Cold as well, who had an incredible Gragas performance. Gonna have a look at those plays in just a moment. Cold did a lot of good stuff for Origen in the early game.
Yeah, many people often go Cold doesn't do anything, Cold isn't really the point of this team, but I felt like in this game especially, he was able to showcase his understanding of where to be on the map, and he was able to punish multiple times working with the rest of his team. So I like that we're seeing a lot more early game involvement from the side of Cold. I think his Gragas was very good, even though I do think that he kill secured one too many kills with his ultimate. Overall, it was for the benefit of his team.
And then you have fights like this. XL realized they were on their last legs, and Origen quick enough to clean up around the Baron pit.
Yes, good stuff from the side of Origen. They will now have, because usually what's the word? You just kind of repeat the split once again. So I believe Origen tomorrow. G2 already. So you know, they've definitely been they've been on an upswing, and now they're immediately back into the gauntlet once again against the very tough opposition of G2. We'll see if they can maintain this strong performance. I like the fact that we're seeing more consistency from this team. Yes, Alfari did die, technically isolated once again, but in his defense, he got dived 2v1, so I'll give him that one.
He has died isolated in every single game once so far. Is that 9 ISO deaths out of 9 games, and it has been like once.
But that one I'll give him. He didn't die 1v1 that time.
Okay.
And it wasn't his fault. He got dived. And the team even got a counter kill off the back of it. So I think it's fine, Alfari. That one I'll give
Not every ISO death is equal to every other ISO death.
Yes, it's true. Now, the solo deaths, that's the problem.
Not as good. But be sure to check out the Kia Player at the Game Vote on at LOL Esports on Twitter, where you can vote for Cold, Nuke Duck, or Patrick. I think Cold had a great performance, but I also think Patrick had a really good performance.
I mean, he played Sivir. I can't give it to Sivirs, man.
Reckless got it last time.
Again, I can't give it to Sivirs, man.
After the break, Creature and Vedius will tell you how SK Gaming can start beating the top teams as they face off against Vitality. It's you, that is.
It's me.
It's Vedius.
It's me.
Yeah.
The Vedius.
The Vedius.